Kitty Pryde's introduction in the early days of Uncanny X-Men is one of the best in the business, establishing her as an important character that is worth getting invested in by thematically tying her to the future and then forcing her to show how competent she can be. Kitty Pryde gets introduced in Uncanny X-Men number 129 by Chris Claremont and John Byrne, which opens with the team saying goodbye to their team member Banshee. Now down a member, the X-Men are lucky enough to be notified of 2 new mutants they can possibly recruit. One of them is Dazzler, an upcoming disco star with flashy light sound powers, and the other is 13-year-old Kitty Pryde. Her powers are only starting to develop, and her parents are looking for a good sleepaway private school to send her to while they divorce. In comes the malicious Emma Frost, who gives Kitty the creeps immediately, as well as the much less creepy X-Men. Kitty and the X-Men hit it off, but the X-Men are soon captured by Emma Frost, and Kitty makes the absolutely insane move to sneak aboard Frost's car truck thing to try and save the X-Men. She met these people like 30 minutes ago, barely knows how her powers work, she can phase through walls, and is already trying to save them from supervillains. Right away, we know that she's got serious spunk and an inclination towards heroism. She doesn't help too much, she can't really fight, but she is able to call the other X-Men for help and then go on the run long enough for them to arrive. She's then able to free Wolverine, and although she immediately falls unconscious, this is an incredible first showing. Emma Frost's team, the Hellfire Club, are some of the strongest villains the X-Men have faced yet, and Kitty's able to outmaneuver them on her first ever mission, flying support long enough for the X-Men proper to save the day. With her agreeing to stay with the X-Men, it's clear that she'll one day be a great replacement for Banshee, especially since Dazzler has no interest in superheroing. This is a great intro on its own, but with X-Men being as long as it is, the series can take its time to really flesh out Kitty's introduction, especially since she vanishes for a few issues as the X-Men deal with Dark Phoenix. That arc results in the death of Jean Grey, who died saving humanity from herself and the dark urges that came with the corruptive power of the Phoenix. Jean's one of the original members of the X-Men, a bright-eyed teenage girl not dissimilar to Kitty Pryde. Issue 138 is a look back at her life following her death, ending with the arrival of Kitty Pryde at the X-Men School for Gifted Youngsters. Jean died, but like the mythological phoenix she's named after, has been metaphorically reborn as Kitty, the X-Men's newest member. The Dark Phoenix saga is the end of the original X-Men, with the death of Jean Grey and the departure of original team leader Cyclops, but the arrival of Kitty Pryde marks a new beginning. She's the first new member since this new run of X-Men started back in issue 94, and she's the hope for the future, the thematic proof that no matter how many X-Men may leave or how dark things may get, there will always be more heroes waiting to be born from the ashes. Kitty Pryde takes a back seat in the next 2 issues, which are primarily about Wolverine and Nightcrawler going to Canada. So while mostly irrelevant, they do assuage any fears that the comic will become the Kitty Pryde show. She's important, yeah, but she's not going to take over the ensemble, which is always a good balance to strike. And then the next 2 issues are Days of Future Past. Kitty aces her first Danger Room session, and then she gets possessed by the mind of her future self, one of the last surviving X-Men in an apocalyptic future. The sheer fact that she survived that long proves again that she'll be an important, competent member of the team, and the death and rebirth theme continues with Kitty destroying the old dark future to create a better one. Plus, these issues focus just as much on the rest of the team as they do Kitty, solidifying again that she's part of a team, no matter how important she may be to the future. The end of Kitty's introduction, though, is in fact a Kitty Pryde solo issue. Issue 143 is called Demon, and sees Kitty left alone at the X-Men's mansion for a holiday afternoon. While alone, she's attacked by a man-eating demon, and essentially reenacts the climax of Alien as she tries her very best to kill this creature. We've seen Kitty be heroic against Emma Frost and get better at using her powers, but we've primarily been told that Kitty will be competent and resourceful eventually, in the future. Now, in Demon, Kitty is pushed to her limits, and we see just how competent and resourceful she has become in her brief time with the X-Men. Testing the demon's intelligence, trapping it in the Danger Room, picking up on its weakness to fire, and incinerating it with the thrusters of the X-Men's jet. Kitty beats this demon by herself, under her own power and ingenuity, and proves to herself and the reader that she's capable of being a fully fledged X-Men. We haven't gotten empty promises, she's the real deal. And it all starts with this excellent introduction, promising you the character's potential, integrating them with the team, and then letting them show off why they should be here. 10 out of 10, no notes. I've been Raventry, and thanks for watching.